Every day, millions of people say the same sentence. I don't have time. No time to exercise, no time to read, no time to learn a new skill, no time to build the life they dream about. It sounds true. It feels true. But what if it's one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves? Think about it. Every person on Earth gets the exact same 24 hours. The richest billionaire gets 24 hours. The world's greatest athlete gets 24 hours. The scientist making life-changing discoveries gets 24 hours. And you get those same 24 hours. So, if time is equal for everyone, why do some people achieve incredible things while others feel like they're always running behind? Is it discipline, motivation, talent, or is something much deeper happening inside the human brain? Modern neuroscience has discovered something surprising. Your brain doesn't actually experience time the way a clock does. It constantly bends, stretches, and even hides time from you without you noticing. That's why 5 minutes on social media can disappear in what feels like seconds, but 10 minutes of studying can feel like an hour.
The strange part? Most people spend their entire lives fighting the wrong enemy. They think they're losing a battle against time, when they're actually losing a battle against their own attention. And once you understand how your brain secretly decides where your time goes, you'll never look at your day the same way again. Because the biggest problem isn't that you don't have enough time. It's that someone or something is quietly deciding how you spend it. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is.
The 24-hour paradox. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow doesn't exist yet. The only thing you truly own is today. And today gives you exactly 24 hours. Not 25, not 30, just 24. What's strange is that this rule never changes. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter how much money you have. A college student gets 24 hours. A CEO gets 24 hours. An Olympic athlete gets 24 hours. A Nobel Prize winner gets 24 hours. Time is the only resource distributed almost perfectly equally. Yet the results people create are completely different. Some build companies. Some write best-selling books. Some master difficult skills. Some transform their health, while others end the day asking the same question: where did all my time go? At first, the answer seems obvious. Maybe successful people simply work harder. Maybe they sleep less. Maybe they're naturally more disciplined. But research tells a different story. Behavioral scientists have found that success is rarely about finding more time. Instead, it's about making thousands of tiny decisions that most people never notice. Every morning, your brain starts making choices. Should you check your phone? Should you hit the snooze button? Should you begin the important task or do something easier first? Each decision feels small, almost meaningless, but together they shape your entire day. Imagine two people waking up at exactly the same time. Both have the same education, the same number of hours, the same opportunities. One spends the first hour scrolling through endless videos. The other spends that hour learning a valuable skill. After one day, the difference is almost invisible. After 1 week, it's still small. After 1 year, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. Not because one person had more time, but because they invested the same time differently. This is what psychologists call the compound effect of daily habits. Small actions, repeated every day, create massive differences over time. The scary part is that this works both ways. Good habits grow quietly, but bad habits grow quietly too. That's why wasting just a few minutes doesn't feel dangerous until those minutes become hours. Those hours become weeks, and those weeks slowly become years.
So maybe the real question isn't, how can I get more time? Maybe it's, who is making my decisions before I even realize I've made them? Because if your choices create your future, who or what is controlling those choices? Your brain doesn't manage time. Here's a surprising truth. Your brain doesn't actually manage time. It manages attention. That's a huge difference. Most people believe they're bad at time management, but in reality, they're struggling with priority management. Think about the last time you said, "I'll do it later." You probably weren't out of time, you simply chose something else. Maybe you opened YouTube. Maybe you checked Instagram. Maybe you answered messages that could have waited. The clock didn't make that decision. Your brain did. And here's why. Your brain has one main job: keep you alive while using as little energy as possible. For thousands of years, that strategy helped humans survive. The brain learned to avoid difficult work whenever it could. It preferred quick rewards over long-term effort. That survival system still exists today. The only difference is that instead of searching for food, it's searching for something even easier. A quick notification, a funny video, a new message, a single swipe. Every one of these gives your brain a tiny reward. Neuroscientists call this the brain's reward system. Whenever something feels new, exciting, or unpredictable, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Many people think dopamine creates happiness. It doesn't. Dopamine creates motivation to seek the next reward. It whispers, just one more video, just one more scroll, just check your phone for a second. Before you realize it, 30 minutes have disappeared, not because you planned to waste them, but because your attention was captured. This is why 2 hours of focused work can completely change your day, while 2 hours of constant interruptions leave you feeling busy, but strangely unproductive. Psychologists have discovered that every interruption comes with a hidden cost. Even after you stop checking your phone, your brain often needs several minutes to fully return to the original task. Multiply that by dozens of interruptions every day, and suddenly, hours of productive thinking simply vanish without you noticing. This is why successful people don't just protect their time, they protect their attention. Because attention decides priorities, priorities decide actions, and actions quietly build your future. But if your brain naturally chases easy rewards, then who is designing all the rewards that steal your attention every single day? The answer is more intentional than most people realize. The science of procrastination. Why do intelligent people procrastinate? Why do we delay the very things we know are good for us? Exercise, studying, building a business, writing that first page, making an important phone call. It's easy to call it laziness, but science tells a different story. Procrastination is not a time problem, it's a brain problem. Imagine you're standing in front of 2 buttons. The first button gives you a small reward, right now. The second button gives you a much bigger reward, but only after weeks or months of effort. Which one does your brain naturally want to press? For most people, it's the first one. Because the human brain is wired to value immediate rewards more than future ones. Psychologists call this present bias. It means we naturally give more importance to what feels good today, even if it hurts us tomorrow. That's why watching one more episode feels easier than opening a textbook. Why scrolling social media feels easier than learning a new skill. Why eating junk food feels better than cooking a healthy meal. Your brain isn't asking, what's best for my future? It's asking, what's easiest right now? And that's where dopamine enters the story. Many people believe dopamine is the pleasure chemical, but that's only part of the truth. Dopamine is more like a signal that says, go after this. Every notification, every new video, every unexpected message, every like creates a small burst of anticipation. Not enough to satisfy you, just enough to make you want the next one.
This is why social media feeds never seem to end. Every swipe carries the possibility of finding something interesting. Maybe the next post will be funny. Maybe the next video will surprise you. Maybe the next notification will make you feel important. That uncertainty keeps your brain searching, and the search itself becomes addictive. Meanwhile, the rewards from meaningful work are delayed. You don't become fluent in a language after one lesson. You don't get fit after one workout. You don't build a successful career in a week. The biggest rewards in life usually arrive late, but your brain evolved to chase what arrives first.
This creates a silent battle inside your mind. One part of your brain wants comfort. The other wants progress. And every day, those two sides compete for control. The good news? Your brain isn't broken. It has simply been following the same survival system that kept humans alive for thousands of years. The bad news? Today's world has learned exactly how to exploit that system. And once you see how modern technology is designed to capture your attention, you'll understand why staying focused has become one of the hardest skills of the 21st century. The hidden reasons behind "I don't have time." When people say, "I don't have time," they're often describing something much deeper. Because time isn't always the real problem. Sometimes it's fear. Think about that project you've been putting off, or the business idea you've never started, or the skill you've wanted to learn for years. Are you really too busy? Or are you afraid of what might happen if you try? Psychologists have found that people often avoid tasks that threaten their self-image. If you never start, you never fail. And if you never fail, you never have to face disappointment. Without realizing it, your brain begins protecting your emotions instead of your goals. Then there's another hidden trap: perfectionism. Most people think perfectionism means having high standards, but that's only half the story. Real perfectionism is often the fear of producing something imperfect. You tell yourself, "I'll start when I have more time. I'll begin when I know enough. I'll do it when everything is ready." Days become weeks, weeks become months, and eventually the perfect moment never arrives, because it never existed in the first place. Successful people don't wait for perfect conditions. They improve through imperfect action. Another invisible enemy appears long before you notice it. It's called decision fatigue. Every decision costs mental energy. What should I wear? What should I eat? Which email should I answer first? Should I work now or after lunch? By the end of the day, your brain has already made hundreds of decisions. And just like a phone battery, its energy begins to run low. That's why making important choices often feels harder at night than in the morning. Not because the decisions changed, but because your mental resources have been slowly drained. Then comes the final trap: overwhelm. Imagine standing at the bottom of a huge mountain. Someone tells you, "Climb to the top." Your brain doesn't see thousands of small steps. It sees one enormous challenge. And enormous challenges trigger stress. Instead of moving forward, you freeze. You avoid the task completely. This is known as the brain's avoidance response. When something feels too large, too uncertain, or too emotionally uncomfortable, your brain searches for an easier escape. That's why cleaning your desk suddenly feels urgent just before starting an important report,
or why checking your email seems productive when you should be working on your biggest goal. You stay busy, but not with what matters most. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," ask a different question. What am I actually avoiding? Because once you identify the real obstacle, you stop fighting the clock and start solving the problem that's been quietly controlling your life all along. But understanding the problem is only the beginning. The real question is, how do you retrain a brain that has spent years choosing the easy path? What highly productive people do differently? When people see someone who gets a lot done, they often assume that person has incredible discipline, but that's usually not the whole story. Highly productive people aren't winning because they have stronger willpower. They're winning because they've built better systems. There's an important difference. Willpower depends on how you feel. Systems work even when you don't feel motivated. Imagine two people trying to read every day. The first person says, "I'll read whenever I have time." The second person places a book on their pillow every morning. At night, they can't go to bed without seeing it. The habit becomes almost automatic. Same goal, different system. The environment quietly shapes the behavior. Behavioral scientists have found that our surroundings influence our decisions far more than we realize. If healthy food is already prepared, you're more likely to eat it. If your phone is within reach while you work, you're more likely to pick it up. If social media is only one tap away, your brain will eventually take that shortcut. The most productive people don't rely on constant self-control. They remove unnecessary temptations before they become distractions. They make good choices easier and bad choices harder. Then there's the power of habits. A habit is simply a decision your brain no longer has to think about. At first, waking up early feels difficult. Exercising feels uncomfortable. Writing for 30 minutes feels like hard work. But repetition changes the brain. The more often you repeat a behavior, the less mental effort it requires. Eventually, what once demanded motivation becomes part of your identity. You stop asking, "Should I do it today?" because it's simply what you do. But perhaps the biggest difference lies in priorities. Most people organize their day by urgency. They answer every notification, every email, every request. They spend the day reacting. Highly productive people think differently. They ask one simple question: what is the most important thing I can do today? Then they protect time for that task before everything else, because they understand a simple truth. You can always earn more money. You can replace lost opportunities. But once an hour is gone, no one can buy it back. Every yes to something unimportant is quietly becoming a no to something that truly matters. That's why productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. And once you stop trying to manage every minute and start designing your habits, your environment, and your priorities, time begins to feel very different. But there's one final lesson that changes everything. It isn't about finding more hours. It's about realizing that your life is being built one ordinary day at a time. How to stop saying, "I don't have time." By now, one thing should be clear. The goal isn't to find more time. The goal is to take back control of your attention.
So, how do you actually do that? Let's keep it simple. The first technique is called the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Reply to the email, put the book back on the shelf, wash the plate. These tiny actions stop small tasks from becoming mental clutter. But what about the big goals? For those, use a different strategy. Don't tell yourself, "I'm going to study for 3 hours." Tell yourself, "I'm going to study for just 5 minutes." That sounds almost too easy, and that's exactly the point.
The hardest part of any task is usually getting started. Once you're moving, your brain naturally wants to keep going. This is called overcoming activation energy. A small beginning often leads to much bigger progress. Next, stop depending on memory. Your brain is designed for thinking, not for storing endless reminders. Write down your priorities. Choose the one most important task for tomorrow before you go to bed tonight. That way, you don't waste your morning deciding where to begin. You simply begin. Now here's another powerful habit. Change your environment. If your phone keeps distracting you, don't rely on self-control. Put it in another room. If you want to read more, leave a book where you'll see it every day. If you want to exercise, prepare your clothes the night before. When good choices become easier, your brain starts making them automatically.
Let's look at a real-life example. Imagine two coworkers. Both want to learn a new language. The first waits until they have enough free time. Weeks pass. Nothing changes. The second studies for just 15 minutes every morning before checking their phone. 15 minutes doesn't sound impressive, but over a year, that's more than 90 hours of focused practice. One person waited for the perfect moment. The other created a consistent habit, and consistency almost always beats intensity. Remember, you don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You only need to make your next decision a little better than your last one. Because your future isn't built by one giant breakthrough. It's built by hundreds of ordinary choices that no one else ever sees. And those small choices eventually become the life everyone notices. So the next time you're about to say, "I don't have time," pause for a second and replace it with a more honest question. Is this really not a priority? Or am I giving my attention away? That single question has the power to change every day that follows. And when you ask it often enough, you stop managing time. You start managing your life. Let's go back to where we started. I don't have time. It sounds like a fact, but most of the time, it's a feeling. Because time was never the thing slipping away. Your attention was, your priorities were, your habits were. Every day, life asks you a simple question, not with words, but with moments. Will you spend this hour creating or consuming? Will you move one step toward the life you want or one step away from it? The truth is, your future isn't decided on New Year's Day. It isn't decided by one motivational video, and it isn't decided by one perfect morning. It's decided by ordinary Tuesdays, by quiet Wednesday afternoons, by the small choices no one applauds. Because those invisible moments become visible results. One day, you'll look back at your life, not as one long story, but as thousands of ordinary days. The question won't be, did I have enough time? The question will be, what did I choose to do with the time I had? You don't need another hour. You need a different relationship with the hours you already own. Remember, every person who ever changed the world started with the same 24 hours you have today. The difference wasn't hidden inside the clock, it was hidden inside their choices. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," stop. Take one deep breath and replace those words with this question. Is this truly impossible? Or have I simply decided that something else matters more? That single question can change the direction of a day. Enough days can change a year. Enough years can change a life. Because in the end, time doesn't decide your future. Your decisions do. And your next decision starts now.
If this video changed the way you think about time, subscribe, because the next one might change the way you think about your life.